Hello, my lovely viewers. Today I have another wonderful YouTube video for you today. This is What If I Was in Naruto? Now, let's get this started. As we come to my character, a celestial god, sits on his throne as he thinks, this is getting boring. 646 billion millennia sitting here, doing absolutely nothing. Well, I guess I can do a little bit of something with one of my puppets. Well, let's create a new one in a new multiverse. As my hands clap together and a new universe is created. As kaboom! Naruto verse 146,000. As I created another universe. And then after that, my character stretches out his arm, creating a new puppet. As this one is made out of Senju Uzumaki blood. A little bit of Hashirama Senju and I think it was Indra and Ashira. Ashira, yeah. Ashira Senju, I think. I think that's his name. And Indra Uchiha, I think. Yeah. Ashira Senju, and a little bit of Hashirama Senju, and Uzumaki blood. So this puppet is made out of pure Senju and Uzumaki blood. The most refined Uzumaki and Senju blood you're ever gonna find. It has all secret bloodlines. It has a multiple bloodline releases. Maybe I should make this a little bit more interesting. As I pull out the timeline right in front of my face, as my character is picking out the timeline. Okay, Hashirama, Tobirama, and his two younger brothers. Okay, let's make this a little bit different then, as I snap my fingers. As the timeline begins to morph and mutate into something else, a different timeline. But in this, it's 5 brothers, not 4, I think. Anyone down in the comments, am I wrong? Like, did Hashirama have 4 brothers? Or extra 3? Because that would count Tobirama and the 2 other brothers. I think, right? Like, so the 2 other younger brothers died. He only has Tobirama now. So yeah, if I'm right, and if I'm not, I'm just gonna make it that way. He has 5 brothers instead of 4. So there's an extra brother in there. So in this, it's a 5th brother. And that will be my puppet. And this is gonna get interesting once I start getting into Naruto. But first I'm gonna focus on my character's development and how I'm gonna make him. So yeah. Yeah. So I give myself a bunch of bloodlines and different bloodlines and dojutsu. Like, my character creates another dojutsu as he creates the Tensei Gon, the Tensei Gon and Renegon. The Rene Tensei Gon, the Rene Tensei. Yeah, Rene Tensei. The Rene Tensei Gon. The combined abilities of the Renegon and Tensegon. So yeah, this is gonna get interesting real fast. So anywho, as uh as I give myself the Rene Tensagon, or in fact, I'm not going to give it to myself immediately. As I take it away, as I seal it away up in a part of myself, as I'm going to have to figure out a way how to merge the two. As of yet, I give myself the Renegon, and then a partial portion of Homura's blood, so I can unlock the Tensagon. Yeah, yeah, that sounds a lot better instead of having to say that awkward name. So I give myself the uh, the Tensagon, which is Homura's blood, and the Renegon, which is the Uzumaki blood and Senju blood. Or you know what? No, it's just the Uzumaki blood. I'ma just say that the Sage of Six Paths created the Uzumakis to be like the anchorers of peace. They are the ones who are to maintain balance, and so Hagoromo just created the Uzumakis to keep the peace by giving them the Renegon. It's sort of like the Uchiha eyes. First is the first stage, like it's just the Renegon with the rings, the 10 rings around his eyes. And then it's like the Sharingan, like the first Tomo. You have to feel incredible loss of like an item or family. If you lose family, well, you gained. If you lose family in this for the Renegon, you gain 3 Tomo instead of like gaining 1, like the Uchihas. Like, the Uchihas are incredibly like attached to their family. So like if you take away a part of their family, they'll gain 1 Tomo. But for an Uzumaki member to lose a family member, you're gonna gain 3 Tomo instead of 1. Just one singular like uppercut to the Uchihas instead of, you know? So yeah. Anywho, as I create my body, my future body, I'm not saying like, oh, I'm just gonna beat myself into Naruto. No. I'm gonna make it so that my body will mature very quick. Like, very quick. You're gonna learn how quick really soon here. As I think, okay, I think that's a pretty good muscle mass. Or maybe that's a little bit too much. As I shrink down the body mass, but the strength behind each punch is gonna be the same. Like, I created the muscle mass to the point where like, if I punch something, it's gonna shatter into pieces. Like, not even using 1% of my power. Like, negative 0070, negative 17 zeros later, 1% of my power. Or you know what? No, that's way too overpowered. Negative 0.1%. Or you know what? This is not making sense, I bet. Negative 1% of my power. There we go. Sorry if you're hearing like all these like lip smackings and like different sounds. I just got like a really sticky, weird mouth right now. Like, my saliva is very sticky right now, and I don't know what's going on. Maybe I need to take a drink. Hang on. Let me move my computer over a bit. I'll be right back real soon here. Alright, I'm back. Okay, so after I created my body and what I wanted my body to be, like, I want it to be like fairly close to Hashirama's body as possible. Like, a lot of these what if channels, they like make Hashirama so overpowered. Like, I even watched a video of like someone saying, oh, like Hashirama and Naruto were reincarnated into each other, or like, what if Naruto had Hashirama's memories. Like, they made Naruto like Hashirama. Like, he had his chakra, his strength, and they described his strength like this: Kakashi. Oh my god. That punch was almost like Guy's punch at the 8th gate. You know, like, that's how powerful that they made Naruto. So I'm gonna make it as powerful as him, maybe even more. So yeah, I made it more powerful. My punches a little bit more powerful. I can crack an entire rock with a single pinky thrust. So yeah. So yeah. Anyway, as I think that's perfect. Not too overpowered, but still overpowered in the Naruto verse in the future. But also a little bit weak than I would like it, but yeah, I ain't arguing. Alright, I think that's good enough. Alright, let's throw this into the world. As the timeline goes like this: Hashirama, or no, the two younger brothers, or no, I'm the first, which they named me Senju Ren. Senju Ren is what they named me. So as they named me Senju Ren, the two, yeah, I think that's how it goes. And then Hashirama is next. Hashirama, they named him Hashirama Senju. And then after that comes Tobirama Senju, and the other two brothers. So yeah, as my consciousness is already thrown into my puppet, as I think, oh wow, this feels weird. My hands and my toes feel stubby. Why do I feel, oh, yeah, right. I'm inside of a child's body. I'm so used to like being bigger. Maybe even planet size bigger. Maybe even a multiverse type big. Sorry, just had to take a drink. So yeah. So yeah, as I also gave myself a little bit of an immortality boost, and also to the Uzumaki and Senju clan. So like, you know how Uzumakis can live up to 150? Yeah, I boost that up to 250. Or no, that's a little bit too long. Yeah, that's way too long. I boosted up all the way to 230. Yeah, there we go. That's a little bit better. 230 instead of 150. So yeah, some Uzumaki, if they're very, very lucky, they can live up to be 230. So yeah. So the timeline has dramatically changed. Like, there are like 15 Uzumaki that have lived up to 150 and still living. So like, these would be the councilmen of the Uzumaki clan. So the Uzumaki clan is gonna be alive in this. So yeah, that's one thing I want to get clear. The Uzumakis will live in this. They're gonna be surviving. So yeah. Anyway, as Senju Ren is born, aka myself is born, I don't want to get into the very details yet, so I'm gonna just skip ahead a little bit to where I'm like 15. Or no, not 15. No. I'm 6 years old. Yeah, there we go. Okay, at a very young age of 6 years old, my parents, which is also Hashirama's parents, would have noticed my increase in knowledge. like in my increase of like, I'm like a very good prodigy amongst the clansmen. So yeah. So yeah, as like I'm, like going throughout the Senju clan's base or like camp, yeah, or the Senju clan's setup base, you know? So my father would teach me how to throw shuriken at a very young age of 2. 2 years old, I already knew how to speak. At 3 years old, I learned how to write. So yeah, both of my parents would see me as a prodigy, so they would try to teach me as much as they could. So yeah, hang on, I gotta take another drink. So yeah, anyway, as when I'm 6 years old, I've been learning a lot. Like, I've mastered like a kenjutsu style, like for swords, and I've mastered like I've dabbled a little bit in the arts of like fuinjutsu, but not as much, you know? So, one day I'm just gonna say that the senju are more advanced in this, so like they have gotten so advanced in a little bit that they are like how do I say it? They're more advanced in like DNA. So like they could test your blood and see what's up inside of your blood system. So yeah, as when they test out my blood and see what bloodline I wield, like the Senjus have a very critique bloodline, which is the Mokuden bloodline. So every time when a new Senju is born, they're always checking for anyone who wields the Mokuden bloodline or Dojutsu? No, not Dojutsu. What was it again? I can't remember what it was or what it was called. Not Fuinjutsu, it was called something else. But I'll get back to it when it comes to me. But yeah, a bloodline. So when they checked for if I had Mokuden, they were surprised to see that 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 I had like Uzumaki DNA, as they check out my father's wife's DNA, and they see that it's a Senju. They don't understand how an Uzumaki blood is with a Senju when there's two Senjus who had a kid. So they're trying to figure it out like, what the heck is going on? How, what, if, if both of you are a Senju, then how does he have Uzumaki blood? As they're trying to figure it out. Soon enough, they are so confused, they call up an Uzumaki member, one of the older members of the Uzumakis. This one would be 221. 221. So yeah, 221-year-old Uzumaki. They call him out to come and check this out. As I'm gonna just say that this Uzumaki is Uzumaki Yamato, an old wielder of a sword. The wielder of a sword whose sword, I'm gonna just say that the sword is a conscious one, like it can sense emotion and all that stuff, and it can like fly all over the place, split itself into tiny parts and stab people. Like all there is like a handle, and then the blade is just split apart, flying around you, you know? So Uzumaki Yamato, he's informed that there is a Senju who has Uzumaki blood, though that his parents are both Senju. Yamato doesn't think this to be possible, so he just says like, "What? That can't be possible. It doesn't make any sense. I don't have any recollection of the past few hundred years that I've ever heard of an Uzumaki meeting with a Senju and having a kid." And the Senjus are like, "That's what we did. That's what we did. We checked if there was any Uzumakis that had a kid with a Senju. And there is nothing about that. Both parents are pure Senju. They have pure Senju in their blood. And he has Uzumaki blood. So, once this has piqued out Uzumaki Yamato's interest, he comes out all the way to the Senju clan's base. Or should I say compound? Or a little bit of a village. Yeah, I'm gonna just say compound. So he comes to their compound, which is about the borders between the Uchiha and Senju border. You know? So Yamato comes through, and when he gets there, he comes to the Senju's hospital. So he's like, "Okay, where's the kid?" As he points, as the Senju medical officers point at me. As Uzumaki Yamato comes forth and says, "Hello there, little one. So you're the one that all the Senjus have been informing me about. Can you tell me your name, little one?" My my name is my name. Yes, yes, your name. What is your name, little one? My name is Senju Ren, and this is my little brother, Hashirama. Ah, Senju Ren. What a lovely name. So, what's this I hear about you having Uzumaki DNA? I don't know. Those people say that I have Uzumaki DNA, but I, I, I don't know. As Uzumaki Yamato puts his hand out and puts his hand on my forehead, as he uses a Fuinjutsu style, as he says, "Pulse," as a pulse of chakra pulses right through my body, and it checks out every little blood vessel that there is in my body, flowing through and through. As, wow, it looks like they were right. You do have Uzumaki DNA, but I don't understand how this is possible. Huh. Maybe this could be of use to us both," as he says to my father, which is also the Senju head of the Senju clan. As he says, Yamato says, "Maybe this could be of use to us, to both of us. If we train him in our Fuinjutsu style, and have you already trained him in all of the Senju style?" "Not yet. We just recently found out that he has multiple bloodlines, which we do not know how is possible, but we're not questioning it, as we do not know ourselves about the Uzumaki DNA. So we don't have any idea about the blood style, the blood DNA, or dojutsu, or whatever you want to call it, okay? I'm getting mixed up. But yeah. Anyway, he has multiple bloodlines that we don't know how he got. But he does have Mokuden. Ah, Mokuden. The famous Senju clan's bloodline. How many Mokuden users do you have anyway now?" "Well, as of yet, the amount of Mokuden users that we have now are about 15. 15 Mokuden users. Throughout the entire clan, you only have 15. Yes, 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 I know it's pathetic, but still. That's good enough of a number for the Senju clan. As the Senju clan does not know about like senjutsu and whatnot, but they do not know the full power of Mokuden. They barely dabbled into the traits of Mokuden, so yeah. As they begin to like, you know, check out my build, like check out my body structure, my DNA, my muscle statures, and they see that my muscle is beginning to like mature, like my body is maturing at a very fast pace. So like my muscles are getting bigger by the minute, but they're also getting smaller as well. Like when they reach like a pretty okay amount of size, they begin to shrink all of a sudden. Like when I get to a point where I'm like bodybuilder, my body begins to shrink down until the point where I'm like lean and like cut. Like I look good. Like you can see my slimness underneath my clothes. Like I look very weak, but when I take off my shirt, I'm very built. Like it's in between a bodybuilder and in between being slim. So like I have muscle, but the strength is absolute. My strength is like compared to Hashirama, which the same thing for Hashirama, like his muscles are maturing a little bit faster but slower than I am. His muscles are growing but not shrinking. So yeah, they want me to test out my strength. So like this one time I remember like flicking a little tiny boulder that was the size of my hand. I flicked it with my finger and it cracked in two pieces. I tried it with my pinky finger on a gigantic boulder that was about 2 times my size, which I am a 6-year-old by the way. I flick it with my pinky and it cracked in two pieces. Other senjus tried to do this, like they tried to flick it with their finger and it didn't crack. All they got was a little tiny bit of a little scuff mark on the rock, but it didn't crack into two pieces. Soon enough, they got my younger brother, Hashirama, to do it, but it took for him to do a full-on punch for it to crack in two pieces. But for me, it took a single flink of my pinky finger and it cracked in two pieces. So they begin to realize my potential in the battlefield. But Uzumaki Yamato thinks that refining my skills is more important than the battle at hand. So Yamato and my father, which is the head of the Senju clan, had a little bit of a disagreement, so they decided to settle it over a battle, or a duel. The pact was that if Uzumaki Yamato won, he would take me back to the Uzumaki clan, which is up in Whirlpool. And if my father won, he would keep me and refine my skills for the battlefield. And also that Uzumaki Yamato would keep me forever how long that he wished, until he felt that my skills were refined enough. So yeah, as you could tell, Uzumaki Yamato won the fight very easy. He won it without his sword. Uzumaki Yamato, even for his age and his like frailness of his body, he still had absolute strength under those fists. He still had an immense amount of strength behind those hits. So, as Uzumaki Yamato took me back to the Uzumaki clan, I said my farewells to my mother and my father. And afterwards, I would begin to see that everything is very strange to me. As I would say this to Yamato, Yamato would ask, "In what way?" I would describe that everything seems more beautiful when I'm in the forest. So, when I was in the forest, I would see it more beautiful, the trees more elegant. Then Yamato said, "Well, that must be because of your Senju blood. The Senjus are born and raised in the forest. The trees are their home. Why don't you try and connect with it?" Halfway through the journey back to the Uzumaki clan, I got down and I sat down in a very particular sitting motion. My legs crisscrossed, my arms resting on my kneecaps, with my fingers, with my pointer finger and my thumb connecting. As this is a meditation, I begin to focus on the nature energy around me, and I feel like it could connect. As I tried to connect it, as my eyes would change to black, my eyelids would change to black, and then the black colors of the Senjutsu style of Hashirama would appear on my face. My eyes, or the irises, would turn yellow, while the rest of my eye would turn black. As soon as I opened my eyelids, my eyes would be black, with the center being yellow. And then, around my eyelids, it would be painted black, all over my eyelids, covering my eye. And two spirals going out of my eye onto my cheek, going back towards my sideburns. So yeah. Anyway, as Yamato would be just in awe about this. He has heard of Senjutsu and dragon style Senjutsu, but he's not heard of nature Senjutsu. This would be the trademark Hashirama Senju's, you know, his iconic Senjutsu style. Mokuden Senjutsu. Hang on guys, I'm gonna try and figure out how to pause this. But yeah, I think that's a pretty good mark to stop. So, yeah, down in the comments. Do you want part 2? Because I will do part 2 if you want me to. But yeah, I'll be seeing you around in the next part, everyone. Bye-bye. Or you know what? Never mind. I will be doing the rest of this in a little bit since I found out that I can pause now. Alright, and I'm back. Sorry if I scared you guys there, leaving you off with a cliffhanger. But yeah. Anyway, back to the story. Hang on guys, I think I gotta deal with something again. Alright, and I'm back. I dealt with the situation. But yeah, back to the what if. So, I would discover that I could use Mokuden much more advanced than most other Mokuden users. So, it would be up to the same level as Hashirama's level, but a little different. You know? So, like, I can control trees that have already been planted. Like, trees that have already been there. Like, I can control them. That's how much control I have over Mokuden in nature. It's been so much to the point that I can change my hand into an axe made of wood. And the axe is 10 times stronger than any other steel in Naruto. Like stainless steel, cast iron, all of that stuff. It's more harder than anything. It's more harder than any steel, any rock, any material, anything. It's way more harder than anything combined. So, I could make myself a suit of armor if I wanted to, out of like Mokuden and whatnot, or wood release. But for Naruto fans, I'm calling it Mokuden, because I think that's what it's called, wood release, Mokuden. So yeah. Sorry if I'm being like silent. That's because I'm like burping while keeping my mouth shut and trying to be quiet. So like I'm sorry if you hear like nothing for a few seconds and then just hearing me speak out of nowhere. That's just me. But yeah. Anyway, as Yamato would discover this, and he would tell me to make an axe out of Mokuden release. As I would make a tree trunk sprout from the ground, and then the tree trunk would sprout up, and then it would start to morph into an axe. And then I grab the handle, and then I turn my hand. I turn my hand into like a chopping motion. I don't turn it into wood. I chop it with my bare fists, and then I chop it off from the tree trunk. And then soon enough, I have a Mokuden axe, or a wood release axe that is made out of wood. Then I chop it on the ground, and it sticks. Like I chop it into other wood, and it sticks like an axe would. I'm not like trying to make like wood references. Like it's very hard to say like an axe would because I made it out of wood. So yeah. I'm not trying to make like puns and whatnot. I'm not trying to make puns. I'm trying to like be a little bit serious. Like I'm not like the ha ha funny type guy. No. I don't make jokes or anything cheesy, so you don't have to worry about that. So yeah. Anyway, that's what that would be. And I would hand over the axe to Yamato. Yamato would wield the axe like a warrior. He has had experience with many weapons and many weapons. So he's been using the axe for most of the trip, making sure that to see if the wood would dull down, like withering away with each use. I would be saying that through each time that he tested out the wood, I would say that that's not going to work because the wood is harder than any material that I've made. He would believe me because when we got to Whirlpool, the axe did not break until I wanted it to break. So as soon as we got there, I said, alright, well, since we're here now and you've been using that axe the whole trip, I'll just make it break for you to satisfy your needs for it to break. As I put out my hand and I said, break. As it didn't break, but when Yamato struck it against rock, it broke. As Yamato would ask me how I did that, I said, oh, that whole time I've been pumping chakra inside that axe, making sure that it wouldn't break. So like I've been keeping my chakra active for like 2.5 days straight. So what you've been telling me, that you've been pumping chakra inside this axe the whole trip, and it did not break and you did not sweat? No. The Senjus made me do insane chakra training. Like insane chakra training. And I made up a little bit of a insane chakra training myself. Huh, is that so? Yes. That is very much so. Huh, okay. Well, anyway, now that we're here, we can get to work on your training in Fuinjutsu and other jutsu, and also maybe even get you a summoning. Yeah, I think that'll work nice. Anyway, what type of Fuinjutsu do you want to get working on first? the sealing art or the sealing arts or many of the Uzumaki secrets. Since you are of Uzumaki blood, and your Uzumaki blood is more pure than any other Uzumaki blood that I've seen. But since that you're of a pure Uzumaki somehow, and a pure Senju, there is a lot more versatility that you can have with your Senju and Uzumaki blood. More of our pure Uzumakis do a lot more chakra training than most. But like you said, you've already been doing an insane chakra training already. Yeah, I have. But how insane is it? Well, I have to keep my chakra active the most that I can push out while trying to do the chakra climbing and water walking, while carrying 10,000 pounds on my back, chest, and feet and wrists. And I gotta keep these 1,000-pound weights on each part of my body, making sure that I never move as much. And when I get past my limits, they increase the weight. Jesus Christ, that sounds like hell. Oh yeah, it is. You haven't even gotten to the sweet part yet. Wait, there's a sweet part? Yeah. On a hard day, which is about once every month, they make me go through even more hell. Other senjus will try to make me fail, and if I fail, they'll make me do twice as much more work around the entire senju compound. Jesus. Okay. Anything else? I think that's about it. Okay, well I can see that you've been gone through hell and back. Well, yeah. If I'm gonna walk through hell, I better walk through it like I own the place. Huh. You are pretty cocky for your age. That's how I am. That's how most people are in this world. Hang on, I gotta take another swig of my juice. Ah. Oh, that feels much better. Oh yeah, way better. I just released my vocal cords. But yeah. Anywho. As they begin to train me in the Fuinjutsu style and like their version of a Kenjutsu style. Even Uzumaki Mito, as I'm 6 years old and my younger brother Senju Hashirama is like 4 years old. I'm gonna say in this for convenience, Uzumaki Mito is like 4 years old, which is the same age as Senju Hashirama. In this, my younger brother Senju Hashirama is 4 years old, while I'm 6 years old. So I'm the oldest out of everyone else in my family of the Senju blood. So yeah. So as I ask Senju, or no, Yamato, how long am I going to be staying with him? As he says, from here on out, I'll be keeping you for quite a while. Well, wait, how long are we talking? Oh, a few years? Years, as in a plural? Years? Like a decade or... Yeah, a few decades. And if you didn't know, or if I don't know, I think a decade is about 10 years. So yeah, if I'm right, well, 10 years. 10 years or maybe an extra 10 years, you know? So yeah. Okay, I guess I'm fine with that. Besides, I can return whenever I feel like I'm strong enough, yes? Yeah, definitely. Or when I see you as fit enough to leave. To where you can defend yourself. Oh, okay. Well, alright then. Okay. Well, anyway, let's get this on with. As we get back to training. Now we pan back to Hashirama. Everything has been going as is canon. The two brothers dying, uh, Senju Hashirama meeting Madara at the river, them skipping stones to one another, becoming best friends of a sort. As everything has been going as canon, as Senju Hashirama has been asking where I went, and my father being so arrogant and so prideful, he would say that he sent him off to a training trip around the world, making sure that he could get the most experience that he could out of his young life. Hashirama would accept this nonchalantly, but at the same time a little cautiously as well. Hashirama knows that our father wouldn't just send me off in a training trip. He wouldn't trust me enough. He wouldn't trust Hashirama or Tobirama enough to go off by themselves without someone accompanying them. So, Hashirama would be a little bit suspicious of our father, but he wouldn't really keep anything with it. But yeah. Anyway, as we cut back to me, now I am, I would say 13. I am 13, and I said that Hashirama was 4 years old, right? Yeah, 4. I said that he was 4 years old, and I'm like now 13. So following that, hang on, let me do my math real quick, if I could. Let me do my math real quick, and I'll get back to it. Okay, so Hashirama would be like 14 by the time I'm 16. So he would be like 14, I would be 16. Oddly enough, I'm gonna be turning 16 pretty soon. So yeah, I think I'm gonna be like turning 16 sometime now. But I'll ask my mom when my birthday is. Yes, I know. I don't know my own birthday. Laugh it up. Soak it all up while you can. I don't know my own birthday, okay? Don't bully me about it. But yeah, other than that, I am 16 in real life. Or no, I'm 15, yeah. So I'm gonna be turning 16, so yeah. Anyway, as my character is 16, Hashirama would be 14. And at this point, I would be so powerful, I could rival most of the 6 Uzumaki councilmen that were up to 200 instead of 100. So yeah. Anyway, they would send me back with all of this, like, knowledge in mind. So they also got me to sign a dragon summon. A dragon summon. So, like, the dragon summons are like a very ancient summon that only the Uzumakis that are past 100 know. So, like, those who are like 200 and like 20 or like 213, yeah, 213 years old, they would get their dragon summons then. They would be introduced to the dragon summons, they would train with them, and all that. They would see me as fit and strong enough to get their dragon summons. So, they would introduce me to the Dragon Elder, which would be... Hang on, let me get a picture for you guys so you can see what the Elder Dragon Summon would be. This would be the Elder Summon. The Elder Summon's name would be Kaido Shimura. Kaido Shimura has lived for a very long time, long before chakra was even a thing. Kaido Shimura is the eldest dragon to have ever have lived throughout the Naruto verse that I've created. But yet, For his stature and what he looks like, he's not very old looking, like what you would expect of an elder summon, like Gamamaru, I think his name was. Gamamaru was very gigantic and old and wrinkly, while Kaido Shimura, he still looks fairly young, but a little bit of salt and pepper look to his beard is starting to appear. You know how like when men hit their like 60s or like somewhere in between their 50s or something like that. But besides the point, when they're getting old, that salt and pepper look to their beard would start to appear, or on their sideburns or on the side of their head. So yeah, Kaido Shimura is just now getting to that stage of like getting old. Like there are some white, he has some white hair beginning to appear on his beard and on the sideburns. So yeah, he's starting to get old now. But he's still young for his age, which is about 246,000 years. But yeah. Anyway, Kaido Shimura would see me and say, "So, Yamato, you've brought a boy before me. Why is that?" "Well, you see, Shimura, enough with the formalities. Call me Kaido. I thought I told you this many years ago, Yamato." Yeah, I'm sorry, Kaido, but you have to see him. He's very much a prodigy at his age. Trust me on this. Have one of your dragon knights test him. You seem to have taken an interest in this boy. If you, young man, have caught my friend Yamato's eye, well then I see no harm in testing you, since you have caught Yamato's eye. Not many people have succeeded in catching Yamato's eye and interest. So sure, Yamato, I'll test the young lad, and if you are right about what you say that he is, then I will allow him to become one of our summoners at such a young age. Thanks, Kaido. No problem. So yeah, hang on. As one of the Dragon Knights come out and they wear their dragon-clad armor. As this would be one of the many Dragon Knights. A Dragon Knight is supposed to be a knight in armor. Though that the dragons already have scales, and their scales are more tougher than armor, they still wear the armor for testing against humans to see if their skills come up to par to one of their Dragon Knights. So yeah. As this Dragon Knight is wearing everything that you see on here. The chest plate, the extended collar, all of this right here, the long sword, the cloth in between the legs, wrapped around the belt, and all that stuff, the tail at the back with the armor covering the base of the tail. Like right here is where the tail is numb. Like right here is where the tail goes numb, where it cuts off. So right here where you can cut the tail, you cut off this tail, the tail will grow back, but cutting it off further up and cutting it off there, it'll cause them extreme pain. He has the cape on, all of that. This armor going all the way up to his wrists, covering up the back of his fists. So yeah. As this Dragon Knight would come forth, as he says, "You have called, Kaido. Lord Kaido, you have summoned me. To what do I owe this pleasure?" "Ah, yes. My kin, I ask of you to see if this boy is worthy enough to become one of our summon." summoners. This boy, are you sure, Kaido? He seems very young. How old is he anyway? He's 16. 16? You dare disgrace us with bringing us such a youngling? Calm yourself. Yes, Kaido. I'm sorry for my outburst. I've just never seen someone so young come to participate in one of our tests. Huh. Well, what is the purpose of this test? Well, my kin, you see, this young lad has caught the eye of my summoner, Yamato. As the Dragon Knight stumbles back a bit. Someone has caught the eye of Master Yamato? Yes, and it's this lad here, as he points at me. He points at me. Huh. Well, if you have caught the eye of young Master Yamato, well then surely you must be quite the impressive one to catch the eye of someone so mighty and powerful. Sure thing, kid. I'll test you to see if you're really worth it all. So yeah, as the Dragon Knight, the way he's holding his sword, like putting his hands on the hilt, or I think right here is the hilt, right? Like right here. You guys see where I'm like circling? I think that's the hilt, or the back, or the bottom of the blade. The bottom of the blade right here, holding his hands. Soon this hand would go up, twisting his wrist, grabbing it here. His thumb would come on this side, and his other fingers would wrap around this side. His hand would pick up the blade like right here on its side, flipping it up very quick. Then after that, grabbing onto the handle, his hand underneath that, his other hand picking up the sword and putting it to my neck. But as quickly as I could see it, I swiftly put a Mokuden neck guard around my neck. A Mokuden neck guard. As it strikes the wooden neck brace. Yeah, it would strike the wooden neck brace that I put around my neck. You would hear like a little bit of a crack happen. As I look down, and I see little tiny shards of wood come off as I widen my eyes. This is the first time that I've ever seen anyone crack my Mokuden. None of the Uzumakis have ever cracked my Mokuden before. This is the very first time I've ever seen it crack, or little chips come off of the wood. As Yamato would widen his eyes as well, seeing that a part of the dragon summons has cracked the Mokuden. As Kaido would open one eye, saying, Yamato, why do you seem so surprised? As Yamato would go on to explain that nobody has cracked that Mokuden. Even himself, he has tried to break a Mokuden axe. He tried cutting multiple things, seeing if it would crack. Even striking it with a hammer, a nail, trying to see if he could crack that Mokuden axe, but he couldn't. Everything that he could try, it didn't work. None of all of the techniques that he could try to break that wooden axe, it did not break under the pressure. So Kaido would be surprised as well. He has never seen a Mokuden that is so indestructible and very resistant to breakage. So yeah. So after I would see the Mokuden chips or a piece of the wood release start to crack, and I would lean back right as my Mokuden would crack in half. as I would grab my throat, saying, How? How did you... No one has ever cracked my Mokuden before. As the Dragonite would say, Huh, well, no matter how tough you may think that your Mokuden may be, nothing is more stronger than dragon steel. As this is true, nothing is more stronger than Dragonite steel. It is cooked underneath a dragon forge, which is made by dragon bones and the dragon eternal fire, which is just dragon breath. They breathe fire underneath the forge itself, and it would, make Dragonite steel. As he would explain a little bit more about my Mokuden, Kaido, and Yamato. As the Dragonite would say, well then, if I was able to crack it with my Dragonite steel, I would say that your Mokuden is second best to my Dragonite steel sword. Well, I guess there's no arguing there. I guess you're right. But, yeah. Anyway. Hang on, gotta take another drink. So, yeah. Anyway, the Dragonite steel armor would be very formidable, as that would be that. As the battle would ensue. The battle would ensue afterwards. This being that the Dragonite would start clashing swords. My Mokuden sword that I could pump the most chakra in. It would be the second best, of course, but now that I am pumping my full chakra through the entire Mokuden sword, it would be next to near unbreakable next to the Dragonite steel. So a few slashes and crashes between swords later, I would be standing victorious amongst the Dragon Knight. The dragon would be on the floor, some blood coming out of his nose, and a few teeth missing. A couple of teeth missing out of his mouth. The sharp teeth would be on the floorboards. And a tooth stuck in my sword. As I hit the Dragonite in the face with my sword, the Dragonite at the same time opened his mouth, expecting to catch it in his mouth and chomp down on it and break it. But my Mokuden sword was more stronger than he expected, so as soon as I ripped it out of his mouth, a few teeth came out, but very few stuck to my sword. After that, he grew most of his teeth back after a few minutes, because they had an extreme regeneration ability. So yeah, as fast as the teeth came out, they regenerated almost instantaneously. So yeah. Anywho, that's where it would be. I would say, well, look at that, I'm victorious. So, Kaido Shimura, what do you think? Am I worthy enough? I've proved my worth. I've beaten one of your strongest Dragonites, as you said. As right afterwards when I said that, I held out my hand, helping up the Dragonite. The Dragonite would bow and say, that was a wonderful battle, young Ren. thank you for the battle. As the Dragonite would walk off with his sword in the back sheath, or in the sheath of his sword. He would sheath his sword back onto his waist and walk out. As Kaido would begin to clap his hands together, saying, "That was wonderful. Well, I think you've proven that you are worthy to become one of our summoners, as we respect strength, and we can see that you have strength." So yeah. So yeah, as the Dragonite would, you know, walk off, Kaido would say that I'm worthy to become one of their summoners. And he says, "Come forth, young Ren, so that you may get one of our summons as I come forth." And Kaido puts a dragon seal on my forehead. It's in the shape of a diamond with two wings coming out the sides. A diamond in the center, two dragon wings sprouting to the left and right. He would scratch this symbol on my forehead, a little bit of blood leaking out, as I wince a little bit in pain. As Kaido says, "Now, get the blood from your forehead, touch each finger with your blood, and put the blood fingerprints on this seal," as he rolls out a very long scroll. This scroll would go on for 1.5 miles, showing all of the summoners in the past, before Kaguya even existed, in the world of the shinobi and chakra. The dragons had many, many, many masters. So yeah. As another slot would open, and I would put my 5 fingers down and write my name, Ren, on where the 5 fingers were. Inside of the perimeters of the 5 fingers, I would write my name, Ren, on it. Or, just above it. Yeah. Sort of like the toad summons, like you put your blood fingerprints, a kanji seal, and then you put your name up in front of it. So I would put my name, Senju Ren, on it. Soon enough, the scroll would begin to roll itself up very quickly. A 1/2 mile of a scroll later, it would roll all the way back up and disappear. So yeah, as I would commence to do the seal or the summoning, as I bite my finger, I put my blood on my other hand, and I say, "Summoning Jutsu," as I slam my palm of my hand on the floor, as one of the younger versions of Kaido would happen. As it would summon Kaido's son, Kaido Shimura's son, Dionzo Shimura. Dionzo Shimura Jr. Or you know what, Kaido Jr., yeah. But his name is Dionzo. As he would ask, "What am I doing here? I was just in my cave." "What? Father, is that you?" Yes, my son. So you are the new summoner's summon, eh?" What? Someone has been able to summon me?" As he looks around and he sees me. You are my summon?" "Oh, wait, no. You are my summoner?" As I would nod my head yes. As he looks towards his father, Kaido. "Father, how could you let such a youngling be one of our summoners? He's far too weak." As Kaido would begin to explain to his son that I just beat one of their strongest Dragonites, And he could even understand that one of the strongest Dragonites could beat him down. As he's not full strength, the same as Kaido, but yeah. More or less, he's more younger than Kaido. Kaido had him when he was very young and they grew up together. So Kaido wasn't entirely alone. So yeah. But overall, he could understand the respect and strength that I had. As he says, "Alright, since you have beaten one of our stronger Dragonites, I give you my full respect, my summoner. What should I call you, since we are partners now?" "Oh, you can call me Ren. And what is your name?" "Dionzo. Dionzo. Or Gyatso. Yeah, there we go, Gyatso. You can call me Gyatso. Gyatso Shimura." "Huh, cool name. Thanks. And guys, I just gotta go pee real quick. I'll be right." So yeah, as Gyatso soon finds a good amount of respect for me, Ren. So yeah, as through all these events and stuff, all of this would happen, you know? Like all of this stuff, all of that. Training with Gyatso Shimura, training with him, doing all of this stuff, becoming better partners and making our bond more special than ever. So yeah. And I made my aging process a little bit slow. So when I hit like 20 or something, when I hit 20, I'm probably going to be slowing down my aging rate. Or no, wait. In fact, the opposite. My age would decrease when I'm like 20, so yeah. So anyway, as I would become best friends with Gyatso. Gyatso Shimura, the son of Kaido Shimura. So yeah, as me and him would become best friends, and once I reach a very good bond with Gyatso, he would take me back to the Dragon Summon realm. And Gyatso has been informing Kaido of our bond and stuff, you know, like becoming best friends, doing all of this stuff, you know, all of that. So yeah. So as Kaido would say this, "It has come to my intention, young Ren, that you have built up a very good bond with my youngest son, Gyatso Shimura." Yeah, I have. Me and him are best friends, aren't we, Gyatso?" As Gyatso would laugh, "Absolutely. Absolutely. Me and him are best friends until the end." So yeah, as Gyatso would, you know, explain what I've been doing in him, exploring around the world just a little bit, about Yamato sending me off on a mission, like a long-term mission, that wouldn't allow me to come back for a very extended amount of time until I'm